Hi everyone. I wanted to share another one of my manuscripts, which I have in a bookcase in my office here at Dar Khalifa. This is the manuscript of Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's written in reasonably big font, but it was a big chunky read. And it was actually published in 1998, I think. And I wrote it in 1997. This is the very first draft, Sorcerer's Apprentice. And it's a book that I had never planned to write because I had studied magic with a god man in India, Hakim Feroz. And it was an obsession of mine, magic and god men in particular. I'd always loved, the kind of illusions that Harry Houdini had pioneered. And he, of course, became known as an escapologist, but he was really an illusionist, and a really good one. When I wrote this book, I was such a novice, and I'm looking at it now, and I can see, just looking at every page, I can see stuff that I would do differently now. It was a very top-heavy book, very labored with metaphors and very heavy descriptions, which could have been edited down. My editor at Orion, Weidenfeld and Nicholson, was incredibly good, precise, kind, and generous to me. And she encouraged me to make tweaks and cut out chunks. And this was the first draft before the chunks were cut out. And just in the manuscript form, it's 550 or so pages. But to me, this book was really the kind of, it was the conduit, the bridge between the stuff that I had done before, books like Beyond the Devil's Teeth, and I had written a terrible guidebook to Jordan and a coffee table book to Namibia. This book was the first book that was actually a real book. It was not a complete mess of pretty much a teenager, but this was a book that was thought through with a story and a point to make and journeys and anecdotes that I told, I think, in a reasonably well way. But even so, I remember writing it and being totally stressed because I thought, I don't know how to climb this mountain. It's a mountain. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to need ropes and equipment, if you know what I mean. And I was totally super stressed because I didn't yet have a system. I didn't have a way of doing it. And so this book was written, I just remember the writing process. It was written in a kind of stress zone, and I wrote it in my flat in northwest London. And usually I stayed up all night writing because it was the only time I could get to grips with my thoughts in absolute silence. I love that it was written on, just like my other books, and up till that point, on a terribly old, incredibly crappy word processor program called Volkswriter, which doesn't exist anymore, needless to say. And it kept crashing, and I kept losing everything I'd written. And I was storing it, obviously, on those huge old floppy disks, which really were floppy. I'm proud of this book, not Beyond the Devil's Teeth, Sorcerer's Apprentice. I'm proud of it because it stretched me as a young writer, and it really, paved the way for the journeys that I had in the future. And I think, looking back, that's just what it needed to do.